Hello and welcome to my Yu-Gi-Oh channel. Make sure to subscribe for more daily Yu-Gi-Oh content. Well, it seems we've got new cards released within episode 42 of Yu-Gi-Oh 7s. Keep in mind that not all of these cards will be released. Some of them will get physical printing eventually within the OCG and also get translated into the TCG, but some of these may never actually see a printing, or they might see their printing a good 10 years late. So without further ado, we'll have a look. The first card is Boost Turtle, the Accelerated Turtle. It's a level 3 fire attribute reptile type normal monster with 1000 attack and 500 defense. The next card, Rocket Tortoise Modular Kellion. It's a level 8 fire attribute reptile type effect monster with 2500 attack and 1600 defense. The requirement, you can activate by sending up to 2 other face-up monsters. They must be reptile types you control to the graveyard. The effect, this card gains 700 attack for each monster sent to the graveyard by the requirement of this effect until the end of this turn. So this card can become a 3900 attack monster. That's not a bad effect, and it's a consistent boost. The only concern is you do have to get rid of 2 other face-up monsters from your field, so you're essentially preventing yourself from really summoning into anything else, unless you've got any separate cards you've got in your hand. Otherwise, it's the same as that you've got a number of cards that have this effect where they will only let 1 monster attack for the rest of this turn. Kansokooky Spy Turtle is a level 4 light attribute reptile type effect monster with 800 attack and 1300 defense. The requirement, you can send the top card of your deck to the graveyard, and the effect is to choose 1 face-up monster, must be between levels 3 and 8 your opponent controls, and reduce its level by 2 until the end of this turn. Okay, I'm quite confused about actually what that really does. It's fine if it will actually interrupt your opponent, but if it's there just to reduce levels, it's not really going to do anything. I mean, Rushdoors doesn't have Xyz monsters, they don't have Synchro monsters. They don't have any extra deck monsters as of yet. So reducing their levels is not going to make a difference unless they've got some kind of a quick card attached to them where they gain attack points times, you know, the level of that monster, in which case they might lose a few hundred attack points. Big deal, it's not going to make too much difference. Blazing Turtle Meteor is a normal spell card with the effect, choose 2 face-up monsters, they must be reptile type you control, and 1 face-up monster level 8 or lower your opponent controls. The monsters chosen by this effect lose 1500 attack until the end of this turn. Okay, so I'm kind of understanding the link between how this archetype seems to work. Basically, the whole idea is to suppress both yours and your opponent's monsters with this attack reduction of 1500. Then you're supposed to use the boss monster, tribute those other 2 monsters who've lost their attack points, beef it up to a point, and then hopefully OTK using that monster on its own. It makes sense to an extent, but it's just a very roundabout way of doing it. Sliftra is a level 4 wind attribute dragon type normal monster with 1500 attack and 0 defense. Gravity Plus Dragon is a level 6 Earth attribute dragon type effect monster with 1600 attack and 1000 defense. The requirement, you can send 1 card from your hand to the graveyard. The effect is to choose 1 face-up monster you control. It gains 400 attack for each normal type monster who's a dragon you control until the end of this turn. Right, so what this card is able to do is increase one of your monster's attack by up to 800, so long as you've got other monsters on your field. So that's fine as a little bit of a boost. It's a little bit weak of an effect considering that's a level 6 monster, but it can actually choose a number of normal monsters, considering dragon types are quite common within Yu-Gi-Oh! In the whole series itself, as well as in Rushdoors. This is definitely a card that can be introduced like cross-generation. Nightbringer Dragon is a level 7 dark attribute dragon type effect monster with 2400 attack and 1500 defense. The requirement, you can send the top card of your deck to the graveyard, and the effect, your opponent draws 2 cards, then inflict 100 damage to your opponent for each card in their hand. I don't like this card. Just giving your opponent a free pot of greed is not a good idea. Any card within traditional Yu-Gi-Oh! That had that ability was considered no good, especially unless your aim was to deck your opponent out, or in this case, if you were able to do enough damage, it was near the end of the duel and your opponents had so few life points that this effect actually made the difference. I mean, say for example they do have a full hand of 5, they draw 2 cards, that's 700 points of damage, and bear in mind that's probably best case scenario. Worst case scenario, they've got nothing in their hand, you use this effect, you give them 2 cards, and then they take 200 points of damage. The only one redeemable factor I've got about this card is your opponent's going to be drawing cards anyway, because of the whole draw until you have 5 cards in your hand condition that the new Yu-Gi-Oh! Rush Duels has. So only for that is it slightly reprieved. It does reduce your opponent's ability to draw in the future, but even amongst its attack and defense stat, for a level 7 it's quite weak. And the final card is Dragon's Response. This is a normal spell card with the requirement, if you control a face-up monster, it must be a level 4 or lower dragon type. Shuffle 1 normal monster that's a level 4 or lower dragon type from your graveyard into the deck, and the effect is to draw 1 card. This is a decent enough effect because it does recover one of your graveyard cards back into the deck, so you are getting your resources back, and it's a bit of a 1-for-1, you're using this card to draw in for another card, similar to something like Upstart Goblin. So what do you guys think of these cards? Is there anything in here that you particularly like and would consider running within your deck, or do these look like a bunch of mismatched monsters that are going to be replaced very soon? Whatever you think, leave your comments down below, like the video if you enjoyed it, and don't forget to subscribe for more Yu-Gi-Oh! Content.